So anyways, 7.5 foot long twitching rod paired with a really nice spinning reel and a 2 to 3 size works. I don't care too much about the line ratio or the speed pickup. As much as I do, it's just got a good drag, so forth, okay? And then I put on 30 or 40 pound braid. And the braid is super important. It does a couple things for me. Number one, it has no stretch. So I can feel my jig working. I can feel those subtle bites a lot easier with braid, okay? The other thing is that you use high vis, okay? It's high vis line. Not only can I see the line hang, I can also see when I'm fishing up against structure and so forth. So I like high vis line to be able to do that, okay? The other reason is people ask me about, well, why would you use 30 pound? Doesn't that seem strong? Or 40 pound, doesn't that seem strong? You know, I'm not really using it for the strength. I'm using it for the diameter of the line, okay? A lot of people, yeah, you could get away with 15 pound braid or 20 pound braid, but understand, the diameter of that is like 4 or 6 pound monofilament, okay? I don't want my stuff to sink that fast. The braid, having a little bit of thickness, allows me for that jig to fall, but not fall so fast that if it falls too fast, then I'm constantly having to twitch it quicker to keep it off the bottom, okay? So having this little bit thicker braid in a 30 or 40 pound class allows me to twitch, but at a nice motion where that jig can stay out there a little bit longer, stay in the zone a little bit longer, okay? So it's really important that I use that. On my braid, I have a braid and then I have a mono bumper, okay? And the mono bumper, this is 20 pound mono bumper here, okay? And my mono bumper, I just use this is a Crazy Alberto knot. And it's the one I like the best because it's a really smooth, small knot, goes through the guides super easy, and it's very strong, okay? Now, my length of my bumper, you'll notice from here to here, it's only like 6 feet, 6.5 feet long, okay? When I reel this up to cast, and my braid is there, my knot is right here in the guides. I don't mind if it's right down here by the reel. What I don't want is my knot in the reel. Now let's focus on our jigs and what we're gonna be catching our fish on. This is a 1/2 ounce arrow twitching jig, okay? We make 3 sizes of these. We make a 3/8 ounce, we make a 1/2 ounce, and we make a new 3/4 ounce. And you can see the size difference in these heads. 3/8, halves, 3/4, okay? Great sizes. I would tell you, if you guys are gonna buy the average one, if you're only gonna buy a few, your 1/2 ounce is gonna be your best one. It covers most of your water spectrums, okay? When the water gets lower, the 3/8 ounce is probably your best one. If you have low water, you have slow water, your 3/8 allows you to twitch and keep your jig down in there, and you don't have to move it through the water as fast. Then your 1/2 ounce, that covers you through most water conditions. It's kind of in the middle, right? Then you have your 3/4 ounce. Great addition to this line. What this allows you to do is fish not only deeper holes, but it's going to allow you to get down in some of the faster water that these fish will lay in that a lot of people won't twitch because they can't get down deep enough. Well, now the 3/4 ounce is going to allow you to do that. A couple of things with twitching. You are triggering a feeding response from these fish, right? So a lot of guys go out, they just start throwing aimlessly wherever they want. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm always going to look slightly downstream, right? And the reason I'm looking downstream, and we'll get into the technique, but the reason I'm looking downstream is this. When my jig is out there and I'm twitching it with current in the water, the fish are facing into it, I'm twitching the jig away from them, okay? That triggers their aggressive response to come and grab it, or their predatory instinct to come and grab the jig. If the jig is coming down at them, it doesn't trigger that response out of those fish nearly as well. So, the twitching thing. First thing is, your hand. Get your hand comfortable on your reel. For me, I have a small hand, so for me, it's my pinky underneath the reel seat. Okay, this is for me is very comfortable. This is all in your wrist. It's a complete wrist action that you're doing in twitching. Okay. The other thing is don't put a death grip on your rod. If you have a death grip on this rod, your wrist is going to get tired, and it's going to get tired fast. Keep the line or the rod really loose in your hand, okay? So that when I'm twitching, you'll notice when I'm twitching, my hand is not really even crimped around the rod as much, right? Okay? So that's really important also. The action you're looking for, it's all in your wrist. It's just going to be it's a pop, drop, pop, drop, pop, drop, okay? So what that looks like in an aspect of me twitching is my line is down here. I'm just going to pop it up, drop my rod down, pop it up, drop my rod down, okay? And I just get this cadence going, right? This is a cadence that you're wanting to do is just this, okay? It's not hard. I'm not whipping it. I'm not going really high or anything like that. My rod is just short. It's just little 2-foot chops, okay? So it's like a 2-foot little jig. That's all I'm doing. And I'm not, like I say, it's not overly hard, right? I'm not gripping it. And I just get this cadence going. It's a pop, drop, pop, drop, pop, drop, pop, drop, okay? That's your cadence. That cadence never changes. It doesn't matter if I'm in fast water, doesn't matter if I'm in slow water or whatever. That particular cadence never changes, okay? What will change is how much reeling I do. That's going to be based on the water that I'm fishing, either depth or speed. Sometimes I won't reel at all. Sometimes I'll have to reel half a crank. Sometimes a full crank. But you really want to get that cadence going. Now these fish are going to bite on the fall, not on the rise. So you need to really understand that. So as you're popping your jig, like popping up and down, right? I'm popping, I'm dropping, popping and dropping, okay? I'm doing this. There's two things that I'm gonna do in this. The one absolutely most important thing is these fish, like I say, bite it on the fall, not on the rise. Even though that's when you feel them is on the rise, not on the fall, the drop is what's important. And a lot of people end up reeling too tight. They want to reel too much. They don't want to drop their rod because they want to keep their line tight the whole time. You can't have fall and have a tight line. So to have fall, you have to have a loose line. And to have that loose line, I look for what I call line hang. It hangs in the air, okay? And when I say hangs in the air, if you could see this line, when I drop my rod tip down, that line hangs in the air for a second. My rod is below my line. When I drop my rod and my rod tip is below my line, that means I have absolutely nothing, no tension on my jig, allowing my jig to fall directly down, okay? When it's falling, that's when the fish comes up and grabs it, okay? So if you're thinking in aspect of what we're imitating a squid or a shrimp. And a squid or a shrimp are propelling creatures. A squid uses his tentacles, he pushes and falls, pushes and falls. Shrimp do the same thing. They use their tail, they push, they fall a little bit, they push, they fall a little bit, right? So a salmon or a steelhead, they bite these on the fall. They realize that I can grab them when they're not propelling themselves. They can expend less energy, right? So they are going to go after these when they are falling, okay? So super important. Always look for line hang. If you don't have line hang, my motto is you don't have line hang, you're not in the game, okay? So when I'm dropping my rod tip down, you have that line just hangs in the air for a second, okay? And I don't let it completely tighten. I was getting down there almost close, and then I'm going with my twitch again. One thing I want to talk about is reeling. So remember that line hang being super important, right? And a common mistake is people pop and then they reel, pop and then they reel, pop and then they reel, okay? And what you're doing is you're reeling all the slack every single time. When you reel all the slack, it's taking the drop away. So you'll notice I haven't reeled now in like six twitches, right? Now I'm gonna reel just a little bit, but you'll notice when I'm reeling, it's a quarter of a turn. I'm barely moving the reel, okay? I'm just taking a little tiny bit of slack out every time, but not enough to not allow that jig to drop, okay? So I'm allowing that jig to fall back down, and I'm just reeling a little tiny bit, okay? Super important, right? Don't do this. If you're doing this, you're taking away the jig. And what you're trying to do is get out there to the bottom. Your jig's gonna fall down, you're gonna twitch up. You want your jig to fall right back down to where it started. Up, back down to where it started, up to back to where it started. If you reel too much, your jig is down here, you twitch up, it starts to fall, but it only falls a little bit. And then your next jig is you twitch up, and then it falls a little bit. And then the next jig, you know what I mean? So you're climbing a ladder basically with your jig. And what you're wanting to do is keep it down in the zone the whole time. So you don't want to reel so much that you're making your jig climb through the water column. It wants to stay down in the water column.